Hello, everyone, and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Coming to you, as always, from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Rictali, and joining me, as always, is my co-host,
Garrett K. Jones.
And we have, Garrett, a very, very special guest here. She is the co-host of Star Wars Through the Eyes of a Child. Tell us your name.
Cecily.
Cecily Ann Marie Holly, or aka Lily, as she's also known as, is going to be joining us because we are going to be reacting to a little late to the party here. No pun on the other YouTube channel called Late to the Party, but we are actually late to the party with this by watching the Bad Batch trailer. It's been out for a while, but we wanted this little lady to be able to watch it with us and react to it. So
we're also going to be talking about some of our expectations for 2024 because there are other Star Wars projects coming out this year beyond just Bad Batch Season 3, which, as I understand it, I think is like the end of the series.
I think so. Yeah.
So let me pull up the screen here, and we want. There's my. There we go. Share, and here we go.
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana.
Hey, what do you know?
That
How apropos.
I thought that the end of the war would mean an end to losing more of our brothers. But I was wrong. We can't just walk away. Not with the Empire imprisoning the kid. They've got troopers up top. We're running out of road!
Oh, this is looking good.
It's impossible to escape from here.
I am not giving up Crosshair.
Omega's been waiting for us a long time. Our mission is not over yet.
There is nothing of greater importance to secure the future of this empire. Whatever is needed to accomplish this goal, you will have it.
Hold on! Give us a real challenge. Everyone, down! They are coming. For all of you.
Order 66 was just the beginning.
We need a new team. To save Omega. To save our lives.
The bat.
Oh.
That was a good one.
Yes. What did you think, Lily?
That was crazy.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Who was that?
Which one?
The guy who in the coffin thing again?
I think that was
Echo.
that was Echo. Was that Crosshair?
No,
Which one?
Crosshair was the bad guy.
Okay.
Guy, so that was Echo.
Was that Echo?
The one.
No,
who,
I believe it was Rex who's doing the majority.
Who
Do
fell?
you remember Rex shows up in season 2?
Yeah. Interesting. I noticed Asajj Ventress with a yellow lightsaber.
hair.
Ventress
Yes.
was a yellow.
The yellow Ventress, yes, Asajj Ventress with a yellow lightsaber.
Wait, was she a bad guy?
She was.
She was.
Yeah, she had the double-sided lightsaber.
Well, we haven't
You
got through
keep
that
saying-
yet.
Yeah, you keep saying she had 2 red lightsabers. I'm like, no, Obi-Wan Kenobi cut it in half. It used to be a double-sided lightsaber.
Actually, Lily, she had one that would split in half on its own.
Yeah,
And she could dual wield.
but then Obi-Wan Kenobi made it so it wouldn't go back together.
Oh, you're right. I do remember
Yeah,
that.
because what?
Wow.
Yeah,
You're smart.
I remember that episode. We did that episode, and
You
you
were
still
so
do
good.
not believe me.
I believe you now, girl. I believe you now.
So
All right. Yes.
My first reaction to this, I loved it. I thought this was a fantastic episode,
Yeah.
or a fantastic trailer. I'm looking forward to it. The Bad Batch has been pretty good, although
Mhm.
last season felt like it was like a lot of filler episodes. I'm hoping that this isn't the case with season 3.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I'm very excited. This got me really pumped.
Watch all the episodes that far.
Well, we still have to do Clone Wars, but we will be doing Bad Batch too, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's
Yes.
gonna take forever.
Yeah, Clone Wars is going to take forever, especially if we don't do it. Which, do you want to make the official announcement, girl?
After the 20th, right? Of February.
Well, after the end of February.
After the end of February, we will be starting Star Wars When I Was a Child. Back up.
We are exclusively on YouTube. Yes.
That's gonna be fun.
Check that out. Check that out on the GNN network and on our own War of the Stars YouTube page. You'll find it both places. So you'll be able to see this adorable little face talking about Star Wars as she's even wearing her
Sleep all day, Baby Yoda shirt. Sleep all, and then at the bottom it says yay, and then it has 3 different Baby Yodas sleeping in different poses.
All right. Well, it's been fun having you on. So me and Garrett are going to go on. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, Lily. Her official name is Darth Lily.
Darth Lily, yes.
So,
right.
I'm excited for this. I mean, Bad Batch, the last couple of seasons have been really good. They've tied in very well with the Clone Wars. And it's probably one of the few bits of Star Wars content that's come out in the last few years that I've actually really enjoyed.
Yes.
Andor was a slow burn, but I really enjoyed it. Fairly decent storytelling and writing. But the last couple of projects that have come out have been very, very much misses for me.
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, Mandalorian started off great, and then season 3 just kind of, and then Obi-Wan kind of fell by the wayside. Like there was so much potential for it, and it kind of fell flat. And then obviously,
for me, I think what's been even worse is, I think it'd be one thing if like things like you said, like Mando season 3. Obi-Wan, which I kind of enjoyed Obi-Wan a little bit, and Ahsoka, if they'd been either good or bad, but for the most part they were just middling. They weren't either really good or really bad. They're just kind of like, they're okay.
Yeah. Ahsoka had so much promise, but then like none of the characterization that we saw from like the Clone Wars or from Rebels was there. Like it felt very wooden. It's like they looked the part, they did not sound or act the part, and I don't know. It was just kind of weak.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'm super excited to see where they go with Bad Batch season 3. As much as I love Tech, I'm personally hoping they don't bring him back.
Yeah.
Just because I think that would, I think we said this before, bringing him back would make his death meaningless.
Oh, absolutely.
You need that, Now, what about the idea of rehabilitating or bringing Crosshair in as, his redeeming Crosshair?
I would like to see that. That would be a great. That would be a wonderful. Character development bit for him. But it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it's also interesting. I mean, like we kind of mentioned, Ventress. Seeing her with the hair, seeing her. It took me a second to see when I saw her. I'm like, who is that? And then I realized I saw the hair, and I'm like, oh, that's Ventress. Oh, I wonder if that means if they'll have anything with her and who was the Jedi that she was with in the comics and the books? Voss. Quinlan.
Yeah, Quinlan Voss.
I wonder if they'll mention anything.
It'll be interesting because Quinlan Voss, though, like he went off and he was with somebody else. He had a girlfriend that he ended up having a kid with and survived Order 66. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, because I mean, they mentioned him in Obi-Wan, just passing, because when he's in the cave, he's looking at the names and he mentions, Quinlan. I can't remember if it says Master Voss or Quinlan.
Yeah,
but he does say that his name. He was one of the Jedi that was rescued. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, and how this all ties into what will come later with the Empire. And also just interesting. I love seeing stuff from this time period of Star Wars. We see a lot of stuff from either prior to that or like Clone Wars era, or now we're seeing a lot of stuff from after after the fall of the Empire. So this time period of like the height of the Empire, where the Empire is starting to grow and starting to get its talons and everything. It's really, really interesting. I'm really loving seeing this time period of kind of like early Empire and it rising, and
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. But Bad Batch isn't the only show coming out this year. We've got a couple of other shows coming out, and first and foremost, let me present my list here. Here we go. Okay, so this is coming from IGN, and keep in mind some of these dates are going to change. But obviously, we've got Bad Batch season 3 coming out in just a couple of weeks or a week and a half, something like that. And then the next one we have coming up is Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which the premise on that, it says the series follows 4 children who end up on an adventure to make their way home after being lost in the galaxy, following a discovery they make on their home planet. And the only information that we have is that it's slated to be released at some point this year and will consist of 8 episodes. It has Jude Law as a Force user. We don't know if he is a Jedi or not. He's just a Force user. And Jude Law has actually made some interesting turns where he's played heroic characters. He's also played villainous characters. He's played characters who are kind of in between. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But one of the interesting acting choices for this is Jaleel White, who played Urkel on Family Matters. He's been cast in this, and I'm not entirely sure what role he's playing. They haven't really said. But the events of this film, from what I'm looking at here, is that it's supposed to take place after the events of Return of the Jedi. So it's kind of around the same time frame as Mandalorian.
Mando. I wonder if it's going to be part of that so-called Mandoverse.
Well, I mean, at this point, everything is, because it's Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I know that like you have some stuff that's set kind of like in the Clone Wars era setting, but then you have like stuff that's kind of all connected. So like Mando, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, they're all supposed to be kind of like connected in this sort of what they're calling the Mandoverse.
Yeah. So
all those shows are kind of connected.
So this show, the series, was written and created by Christopher Ford and John Watts.
Okay.
And John Watts is the guy who co-wrote and directed all 3 of the MCU Spider-Man films. As far as directors, Watts directed at least one of the episodes. I take that back. Yeah, at least one of the episodes. Then Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who directed Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're directing at least one episode. Bryce Dallas Howard is coming in to direct an episode. And she's done pretty well so far with what she's done on Mandalorian and other Star Wars projects. So I'm kind of curious to see how she does with that. And usually her episodes are a little bit more like family oriented or family friendly. So, yeah. All right. The next one we have coming up after that is The Acolyte. And have you heard much on this one?
Other than like when they first kind of made the announcement of some of the casting choices and some of the stuff. Other than that, I really haven't heard much about. Honestly, I haven't really heard much about Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, neither have
I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's just on purpose or what, but it seems an interesting choice that they're, not really pushing. It seems like they're pushing. Like, it seems like they pushed Bad Batch, season 3 more than they have.
Well,
unless they're just waiting for to drop a trailer and closer to release date.
Well, and it's possible that either Acolyte or Skeleton Crew could have a teaser trailer during the Super Bowl.
This is true. Yeah.
Because the Super Bowl is because as of the time that we're recording this 2 days before Super Bowl. And at this point, we're just speculating. So we have no idea whether or not there's.
But also, I do wonder though if because Super Bowl is going to be on CBS, if that will affect them pushing something from Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean,
because it's going to be on CBS and on Prime.
Yeah,
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and it's hard to say really. I haven't heard much of anything, and I wonder if there's some hesitancy because right now there's kind of a shakeup with like the idea that Elon Musk is talking about possibly buying Disney, and which means that Bob Iger would be fired for sure. Don't know how good or bad that is. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Iger kind of get ousted, but that's just me. But Bad Batch was already kind of a done deal. Everything's been in the can. And while pretty much everything for Skeleton Crew and Acolyte seemed to be finished, from what I understand, there's been some, because of how things played out with Ahsoka and with Obi-Wan, I think there's some hesitancy in putting information out about that and rushing it. I think they're wanting to take things a little bit on a slower pass. I don't know. I mean, that would be my guess because, we saw how Kenobi went. Kenobi was the title character, and he pretty much gets beaten down by the principal antagonist, who ends up getting made somehow a protagonist, and then Princess Leia, who's like an 8-year-old kid. And it's like, really? That's how you're going to treat a legacy character like that? Great. Thank you. But jumping onto Acolyte, this is the premise that we're getting.
Okay.
So first and foremost, the show is created by Leslie Headland, who her background, she co-created the series Russian Doll on Netflix.
Okay.
And she's done directing and producing, screenwriting, playwright. She wrote the play and the screenplay for the 2012 film Bachelorette and the 2015 film Sleeping with Other People. I've never seen those, so I can't say much. But here's the premise. The Acolyte is set at the end of the High Republic era in a world of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers. Approximately 100 years before the Phantom Menace, a former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. So as far as as far as name actors, we have Amandla Stenberg, who was in The Hunger Games,
Okay.
the first film. She's playing the former Padawan. Lee Jung Jae, who is, I'm looking to see what he has done. He's a Korean actor, and trying to see what he was. Oh, he's part of the cast of Squid Game on Netflix,
Okay.
so he's relatively popular. Manny Jacinto, who was on, he was actually in Bad Times at the El Royale with Chris Hemsworth, and he played Jason Mendoza on The Good Place on NBC.
Okay.
He's actually really funny because I recently just watched one of the Mortal Kombat animated movies that they have on HBO Max, and he plays the character Kenshi, who's become a
was he the guy in The Good Place that was like the stoner?
Yeah.
That was like, oh yeah, yeah. I know who that
everyone
is
thought
now.
he was a Buddhist monk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just
I know
an
that
idiot.
is.
Yeah. And so he's a fairly good actor. I like him. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do. Daphne Keene is playing a young Jedi. She played X-23 in the movie Logan.
Oh.
And there's been rumors that she's set to reprise her character in Deadpool 3, which comes out later this year. Other actors that I'm familiar with, Dean Charles Chapman, who played Tommen Baratheon in Game of Thrones. He is set to be in this show. And then Carrie Ann Moss from the Matrix trilogy. And she was also in the Netflix Marvel series Jessica Jones. She is set to play a Jedi. So I'm assuming she's the Jedi Master to Amandla Stenberg's Padawan, possibly. Yeah. I don't know. But then we've got Junis Suotamo, who played Chewbacca in Solo and the sequel series. He is playing another Wookiee character because he's just hugely tall, like he's just a gigantic person. And he's playing a Wookiee Jedi Master.
I think of Wookiee Jedi. That's going to be wow.
And not just a Wookiee Jedi, but a Wookiee Jedi
Master
in live action.
Oh,
in live action is going to be fun.
Yes, I hope this for one again. Talking about time periods that don't get a lot of. I think this is the first TV show that we've seen that's set in the High Republic.
Yeah, the only other things that we've gotten about the High Republic have been video games
and books.
And books, yeah. But as far as film, television, animated series, this is the first of its kind. Yes. So I'm hoping it does well. We'll see. Then the only other thing that I know of that has anything coming out,
I see Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi season 2. I actually like season 1.
I did too.
It was short. Like the episodes weren't very long, and they gave you a little bit of insight as to what was going on in the years in between prior to the events of the Phantom Menace, leading up through the execution of Order 66.
Yeah, that was really getting more things like the fall of Dooku's fall and Ahsoka's story. That was really, those were all really, really good. So I'm really excited. That's one that I think was really fun and really good.
Yeah. And season 1, I think, did very well. It was released back in 2022.
Yeah.
And so I would assume that given the fact that it was released in October of 2022, I think we'll probably get something similar with it happening later this year, just so they can finalize some of the animation and voice acting and stuff like that. There's no information about who is supposed to be in it for season 2.
Yeah.
All I know is that it's due out sometime this year.
Now, looking at these ones that are in development or status unknown, is there anything in here in particular that piques your interest the most? And is there anyone that you're like, yeah, let's not go there?
Well, I don't know if it necessarily piques my interest, but like to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of this one right here.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Taika Waititi. Like Taika Waititi, he is one of those. He's become this. He's become one of those creative individuals that I can only take so much of now, and it drives me up the wall. Like when he is performing in somebody else's film project, I think he's better off.
Yeah.
He's good at playing jerks. He's also good at playing lovable goofballs. And the only other time I've seen him play a character where he's just basically just a normal human being and not some like hyperbolic, eccentric character was in Green Lantern opposite Ryan Reynolds, and he has a very small part.
I see. I didn't remember he was in there.
Yeah, it's brief. Like he plays Ryan Reynolds' buddy that he shows the ring to, and he's only in it for like maybe a couple minutes total.
Yeah, like I agree. Like a good example of that is, when it was with Thor Ragnarok. I enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was funny.
Thor: Love and Thunder, not so much.
Yeah, and it was funny because it seemed like the gags and jokes that hit in Thor Ragnarok, I think they worked because the whole setting was so outlandish.
Right.
And it's set on a different planet, everything is crazy. So those kind of jokes like that hit. And then they tried to force the humor into Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah, and
a more serious,
And I'm worried that Taika Waititi would do. Now, I will say that Taika Waititi did direct an episode of Mandalorian. He did a very good job with that episode. It stayed serious. There was a little bit of humor, but the jokes didn't seem forced.
Yeah.
And Taika Waititi also played IG-88, doing the voiceover at least. So, it's kind of one of those things where you're not really sure what to do with it. But as far as like what I've seen so far of his film direction, he feels like a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
I was interested when they said that James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie was in development. However, I mean, like I like him as a director. He's good. Like 3:10 to Yuma was amazing. Logan is a fantastic neo-Western, even though it's a comic book superhero movie.
Yeah.
It really is a neo-Western. And like I like his filmmaking style. His use of cinematography is great. I haven't heard anything more since they announced it.
Yeah. Whereas there's a lot of these I hadn't really heard anything about recently again.
Right.
The new Jedi Order movie. I had no idea there was a possible Jon Favreau Mando movie.
Okay, so this one right here, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, this is supposed to be taking place after the events of Rise of Skywalker. They're bringing what's her face back to play Rey.
Rey, okay.
Okay, and the whole focus is on her building this new Jedi Order. The problem is that this director, Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy, is not a fan of Star Wars.
Okay.
She is not a feature film director. She is someone she's like a...
She was a documentary director, wasn't she?
Barely. Like they're almost like handheld made documentaries. And I don't know how much play they got. Like I've never seen anything that she's ever done.
The only thing I heard about, she did one that was talking about the the honor killings in Pakistan.
Right. And I do get that, but and while the speeches that she's made about like what drives her in her filmmaking was done over a year ago, she's made statements about making men uncomfortable, doing things in her storytelling, in her filmmaking to deliberately do that. And that seems problematic for me, given the fact that the majority of Star Wars fans are men.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would like to
50%
I would like to see something that would clarify it, because I've heard that too. And again, what I heard was that in that context, she was talking about the movies that she made, where she was talking about the honor killings, and so that those were the type of things that she's wanting to make uncomfortable. So maybe it was something like she would give me like, "Hey, let me clarify. I'm talking about these scumbags that do this stuff." And
and I will say, devil's advocate, the statements are missing context. However, if that's her attitude in general,
yeah,
how's that going to play into what she's doing, especially when she's never done anything with a big budget. She's never done anything with cinematography. She's never done anything with special effects. And Star Wars is a very effects-driven project. She's never done anything in this kind of atmosphere or this version of the business. She's untested. And the only reason why she has been handpicked by Kennedy to helm this project is because the Force is female.
Yeah.
So that's kind of problematic for me. Now I do know that for a fact that Jon Favreau's Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going into full development. I think this is problematic.
Okay.
Because basically all Grogu is at this point is a cash cow for merchandising.
Yeah.
He has stopped being an actual individual character, and he has just been this cute, adorable toy manufacturing project.
Yeah. But I mean, what about, I mean, I do have some with the fact of Favreau being attached to it. That does kind of give me some, because I think some of the best stuff that we saw from Mando was when Favreau was kind of more in charge. So it'll depend on how much, leash they give Favreau as far as making his own.
And I think that would be great. But the problem is we're already dealing with having had a third season of Mandalorian that was out of Favreau's hands and was in the hands of Dave Filoni. And all Dave Filoni did was shoehorn it in to fit with everything else that he has been producing for Disney Star Wars in the last few years. And while it's great to have things that are more cohesive, and the thing I liked about Mandalorian is that it stood outside of that. It was telling us about things that were happening in the galaxy, concurrent to other things, but it didn't need to be interconnected to everything else.
Yeah.
It stood apart, and that was the thing that made it work.
Yeah.
But then we had a Book of Boba Fett, which was that season 2, episode 5, where Boba Fett comes back into Mandalorian. They used that as kind of a backdoor pilot for getting Book of Boba Fett in production, and they completely botched the character.
Yeah.
And they made him a backseater to his own series.
So I some of these status unknown ones, I mean, we've kind of talked about those. I'm kind of interested in what you think about the ones that have been canceled. Of these different ones that are either presumed canceled or canceled, of like which ones are ones that you're just kind of like, man, I would have liked to, wish we could have seen that.
So the only one I was actually really interested in seeing was Rangers of the New Republic.
Yes, I agree.
And I love that idea because it was going to be a great vehicle for Cara Dune and for what's her name?
Oh, the actress who played Gina?
Gina
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano. I love, I like her. She's a good physical actress. She brings some emotionality to it, and I would love to see her back in Star Wars. Unfortunately, they canceled it because they got rid of her in a very unceremonious way, shape, or form, which is now going to put them in the spotlight because Disney is getting sued.
Right.
By her. She's filing a lawsuit, and Elon Musk is footing the bill on that. So that's created some issues. But that would have been a great, really cool series because it didn't need to be connected to anything else. And it would have given us a little bit more of a history of what was going on in the New Republic post Empire.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about J.D. Dillard or Matt Owens movie. Have no idea who those guys even are.
We've seen what the Rian Johnson Star Wars movie would be on Netflix, and I don't think I wanted to see that.
Dude, Rian Johnson is an apple-headed little dweeble. I don't like him. Like, I will sit down and I'll watch through like the Knives Out movies. They're fun, they're kitschy, but for the most part, like you can see the ending coming a mile away.
Yeah,
they're not clever. Kevin Feige had like, if we were talking about Kevin Feige 10 years ago, or even prior to the end of the Infinity Saga, I would be like, you know what? I would like him. I would prefer him to be a producer, not a director, because he has no directing experience. He has no business directing anything. And I think more along the lines, this was a production for him, less than a direction. But at this point, with the way that the MCU has been going, no. And then David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, if you're not familiar with those guys, they are the ones who created and wrote the Game of Thrones series for HBO and did a lot of the direction. And some of the worst elements of that series came from their writing, which includes the final season, which like the last couple of seasons of that show, to be fair, it's not necessarily, I mean, some of it is their fault because they were the showrunners. They were the people in charge of doing the majority of the writing. But to be fair, after about season 4 or 5, they hit a point where they were out of original material from George Martin. The 7th book had not been written. And at this point, it's never going to be written.
Yeah.
So they were having to, I mean, they were basically working off of Post-it notes that they got from Martin about how the story was supposed to unfold from there. But it completely undoes a lot of character trajectories and stuff like that. So I'm kind of glad that one has been given the boot. Yes. What about you?
I'm gonna say I was definitely looking forward to Rangers of the New Republic. I think they could still cobble something together, and it seemed like with the last season of Mando that they were kind of hinting at that, because you had these different characters. You had what's his name's character, the guy that was in Kim's Convenience Store that played a
Randall Park.
He played an X-wing pilot. He played.
Yeah.
You had
Paul Soon-Hyung Lee.
Yeah, you had him. You had they did. Can't think of his name now. From Rebels, the character from Rebels who showed up.
Oh, Zeb.
Zeb showed up. You had a couple others, and they kind of hinted at that all these different people were going to come. Were going to kind of form a new kind of group, like a Rangers.
Yeah.
So they kind of hinted at, like, okay, we're bringing all these characters together to kind of form this kind of show. So it's possible you could still do it. I don't know how it would do without Gina at the helm. You'd have to, unless you're going to have Park at the helm, as far as the main stars, part of leading the group.
Yeah, it would be interesting, because another character that would do well with that would be Alexander Callis from Rebels.
Yeah.
because he eventually became a rebel.
Yeah.
But because it's been it's the status has been presumed canceled. We'll never know, and that's unfortunate.
It is. It is. As far as the other one, I'm kind of the same way. Like I said with Ryan Johnson, we've seen what a Ryan Johnson Star Wars movie would be like. A standalone movie would be like, with the his series on movie series he's doing on Netflix, which is getting such rave reviews.
Which movies did he do on Netflix?
What were the ones that he did? They're so bad I can't even think of them.
I'm pulling them up right now. Well, there's Glass Onion. That's the only one so far that's come out lately.
Really?
I mean, he did do the writing, and he did directing on Looper with Bruce Willis.
Okay, I thought he did. There was a new series that came out, and I thought it was Ryan Johnson.
Well, there was a new film that came out with Zack Snyder, which is basically Star Wars.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was it. It was Snyder. Yeah, okay.
Rebel
Moon. Okay, I got the two confused. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's Rebel Moon is Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars, just way more slow motion than necessary.
Yeah. Was it a sense of don't copy my homework?
I don't know. Like
just change a few things because I'm like watching the trailer.
In that movie that are just a complete and total ripoff of Star Wars, from like the opening crawl to lightsabers to the exact same story plot.
Yeah,
like almost beat for beat. It's so.
Again, it's Star Wars at home.
Yeah.
Wait. I want Star Wars. We have Star Wars at home. Star Wars at home.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Zack Snyder is good at like putting a camera on something and making it look cool.
Yeah.
But as far as like actual story, like the best movie he did was in 2007. And that was 300.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. Yeah. I mean, how could I forget Martha?
Oh God, don't get me started on
that. Well, we are coming up to time, so yeah.
So we will be. We're actually going to be taking a break over the next week because John is in a play. That's having done theater myself. It's a very stressful thing, especially when you're trying to balance work and home life and everything else that you're doing. As for me, I am still on revels from having celebrated my birthday. Well, as of the time this recording is out, my birthday will have already passed. My birthday was the 13th. I turned asterisk. If you guys know your Douglas Adams, you'll recognize that reference. Anyway, but we'll be back in 2 weeks talking about the first 3 episodes of Bad Batch Season 3.
All right. Garrett, why don't you tell the fine people out there where they can find you at on the interwebs?
Yes. So you guys can find me on a couple of platforms. I am on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing. You can also find me on YouTube. Just search for GKJ Publishing. I do a show called The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations, author interviews, and of course, creative writing tips. I have an episode coming out this weekend on February the 17th at 9 a.m. And that episode is going to feature an interview with Canadian fantasy author Rilo Kin, not Kylo Ren, and a really good set of book recommendations from podcast host Heather Pantoja.
Nice.
I'm probably butchering her last name.
Yeah. As for us right here, of course, if you want to get a hold of us, you can email us, warthestars1@gmail.com. That is also our handle on X. All their social media, you can find us at War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. If you want to check out the show, of course, you could do so throughout the GNN network, Geek News Now. Just type Geek News Now on the YouTube or wherever you find podcasts at. We're all over. Check us out. Check other podcasts out too. Patreon. Kofi, ko/fi.com. If you want to support the show, that is one of the easiest ways to do it is through there, or just go to our Spreadshirt shop and check out the cool merch there. Another announcement: if you are in the Champaign-Urbana area, March 2nd and 3rd, mostly March 2nd, it is the first annual. Let me get this up so I get it right. Because I want to make sure I get the name right of the con. It's the UI Con 24. I will be there attending that. So if you're in the Champaign-Urbana area and are going to be attending that con, and you see me, say hi. I'm going to try to get some equipment to ask some questions and kind of be a roving reporter at the con, hopefully.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
we'll actually put that up as audio on the show.
Yeah. Like
that would make for a great episode.
It will. So yeah, check me out there if you're going to be in the area. Should be a lot of fun. That will about do it. So as always, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
I am the Senate.
And for all you people out there, that are watching, I hope you enjoyed the superb owl.